head coach of The Ohio State, Urban Meyer, back on the program. Coach, settle the bet here. Have you seen a movie in the theater without your team, with your family, in the past year?
Past year. See, I love, probably not in the last year, but soon I will, after the season. I'm sorry, Dan, I bet I have last off season.
Okay, last off season you did.
Yeah.
What's the last movie you saw in the theater?
Oh, my goodness. I think it was one of those Die Hard movies or something like that with my son.
You see a lot of film, but you don't see any films. Like, you can't be out at the theater, can you, during the season? Because people say, why aren't you at home looking at game film?
Yeah, you can't do that. You know, I mean, but I'm one of those movie guys. I like to do it, but I don't get to do it during the season. You're right. Well, there would be someone would send a blog out. Why isn't he working on third down and 8? Can
you have too much time to prepare for a game?
Yes, you can. And I got a really. The good thing is I'm experienced now. I have some young coaches though, and young players, and yeah, you have to be careful. Like today, we're not going to. I told players they're off today. We're going to watch film for an hour and a half, and I'm getting them out of here because they've given us everything they got, and you got to keep them fresh.
Okay, Urban Meyer 10 years ago. Would you have done the same thing?
No, we're going right through it.
Are you ready to play tomorrow against Alabama?
No, we're nowhere close to getting ready to play. Physically or mentally, we're not. You know, we just had finals, and our mindset's not right. We're just the way we break it down, Dan, is the first phase is all fundamentals and conditioning because it's finals week, and our guys were beat up, and obviously you get to play that big, rival game and a championship game. Today's going to be tomorrow and the next day are going to be third down and red zone, and we just finished our normal situation. So we're getting close, but we're not ready.
You were a couple of weeks out before we had the final rankings, and I said Ohio State is one of those teams, like we have wild card teams in the NFL, where you're peaking at the right time. But I didn't know if the committee was going to look at you guys in the same way, and I'm glad they did because I thought you were playing great football at the end of the year. Everybody kept coming back to that loss to Virginia Tech. How do you convince the committee, looking back, that, hey, we're as good as anybody in the country in that final poll, whereas people had doubts about Ohio State prior to that?
Well, I think there's great stories throughout college football. One of the great ones was '06. The Florida Gator team was not a very good team early in the year, and by the end, obviously, they were not good, but a great team. You're dealing with 18 to 21-year-olds, not NFL players, but they improved so much. We have seven freshman All-American on our team. That tells you they certainly weren't freshman All-American on game 2. They were very average players that really developed. So I think I can't say that they did it right because I really didn't see the other teams play. But I think whenever you take into consideration, I know the coaches on the staff on the committee did because coaches probably watch film and say, boy, they're not very good, and then wow, they got a lot better. So I think that certainly should be part of the equation is what do you like at the end of the year.
But did you know how good your team was? Or when did you know?
No.
When did you know?
Oh, I still don't know. I last week was kind of, I don't want to say shocking because that's not fair to my players, but it was one of those things during the course of the game. You see our third-string quarterback in their first start, and then you're holding a running back. Just his longest run of the day was 13 yards. After that game, I walked off and that was 9 units strong now. We played very well.
He's Urban Meyer, Ohio State head coach. He's got Alabama coming up New Year's Day. Can you out-coach Nick Saban in a game like this?
Oh, it depends on, I don't know. You're trying to get me a headline here. We're going to do our best. Can I? I don't know.
But what should come, because this is chess game with you guys. Now, granted, your players have to go out and do it. It's not a trap question. It's more of just, can you do something now to outthink what he's thinking about what you're doing? Because it's a chess game going on between you two.
I got asked a question yesterday, Dan, and this is good for conversation for you and you to think, too, is that, Nick Saban with bad players, Urban Meyer with bad players, and it's not this, this is all, I know it's easy to, but I get very uncomfortable with every time I get asked a question, it's about that. I think, obviously he's one of the most successful coaches in college football history. That's not by accident. They also have number 1 recruiting classes every year, and you watch them on film, and they're very well coached with great players. Out-coaching them, can we get our players in position to win this game? I really believe we can. Is it going to take on-point effort at every spot, it will. And it will have to play our best game.
How competitive are you in how people view you, in that coaching ladder here of best coaches in college football? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter to me.
You're not competitive that way?
No, I'm competitive, as far as a game and as far as getting players ready to go. And I've never really looked at it as a coach versus a coach.
Now, can players' families go to this? Is a playoff game. It's not a bowl game. Is there a difference with the NCAA in helping players' families be able to go see this game?
Gene Smith, our athletic director, played the game, so he gets it. And that's why I love our AD so much. And every time there's conversation about this kind of stuff, he listens. And so last year, when people started asking us about the playoff committee, I said, "Who's the player family committee?" And I kept throwing it out there, and no one bit. Last year, I said, "Tell me how this is going to work. If we're fortunate enough, and I hope we are, which I didn't think we would be at that time because we lost a couple of juniors to the draft, and I knew we'd be young. But I thought at some point we might be able to make a run at this thing. What do you tell the families?" And I recommend that they put a committee together. And they're probably a year too late with it, but I think that's the way this whole we dealt with the Northwestern issue, and I disagreed with a lot of that. But if I'm a parent, I should go see my kid play and not put my family in hardship to go do that. That's not right. When you're talking about all the people from the conference office, all the people from my kids are going to go and they're not going to pay. Why can't a player's family go? And I don't get that. And the worst thing is I don't hear it being addressed. I know Gene Smith's addressing it here on campus.
How long before we get to 8 teams?
Oh, I don't think it'll happen.
Ever?
I don't know how you. I don't know. Well, I don't think it should happen. Once again, I think we should do it if they pay for all the families to go. Sure.
Well, I wanted to stay with 4 teams. It took this long for me to yell and scream to get to 4 teams that I don't need to immediately go to 8. I want it to be exclusive. I don't want it to be like March Madness, Coach, where if you don't get in, you're a sad basketball team. I like 4. Even if it went to 6, I get it. But then we're going to go to 8. Everybody's going to understand, how much money's involved. And I want the regular season to mean something, and I want this to be an exclusive club. But I don't know how long going to be able to keep the Barbarians from the gate here.
Here's the biggest difference, Dan, is that you never hear the word bowl game around here right now. It's all playoff. Yeah. We're going to the Sugar Bowl, one of the greatest bowls in college football history. With incredible reputation and tradition. And I don't know if I've heard the word Sugar Bowl around here twice. It's all about the playoff. It's not a bowl experience anymore. I don't hear that. I don't hear about the, bowl was the big reward. This is all, we're going into a playoff. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's kind of, it's very appealing that, this is real competitive here right now. Because we all know there's one more after this. That's a lot different of a approach to the game than it is when that's your bowl game.
Do you coach Cardale Jones differently than you did your other quarterbacks?
A little bit. Not now, after he has some game experience. The good thing is the skill sets were very similar. This is an offense that's been together for 13 years. It's not a grab bag offense. We're going to try. Cardale's been in the meetings for 3 seasons, and so we coach him very hard. And his first start was we only had 2 days to get him ready, and it was a little different. And we kind of cleaned up the playbook for him a little bit. But now that we have him, we'll have him ready.
Happy holidays to you and your family, and good luck on New Year's Day, Coach. Good to talk to you again.
I always enjoy it, Dan. Thank you.
All right, that's Urban Meyer.